fresh out the oven.
What is crackin', everybody? It's Mega Pieman here, and welcome to Look at My Map video! I haven't made one of these in a long time, mainly because all of the maps that I've been making for Team Fortress 2, as I do attempt to make maps for Source games like Team Fortress 2, have not been great, and none of them have been finished. Basically, the way I make maps is I start a map with an idea, and I work on that map till I run out of ideas, and then when I run out of ideas, I move on to the next project. Unfortunately, I have started a lot of projects, and then run out of ideas and have yet to finish one. The closest map that I have to actually being finished is one called CP Boondoggle for Team Fortress 2, but whether or not that'll actually ever be done, who knows? I didn't do a video series of that one, but UEAK Crash, who is a mapper from TF2Maps.net, he's a fantastic mapper, made King of the Hill Probed, as well as worked on King of the Hill Moonshine event, and a couple of other things that are official in Team Fortress 2. He does these changelog videos, and that has inspired me to start doing them again. Whether or not people care, or even if I end up abandoning the project, I'm going to try to do it, and possibly it'll help me get some better feedback and give me some better motivation. So, this map you're looking at right now is the newest map that I'm working on. This is King of the Hill Synthetic. It is a King of the Hill map set in a synthetic feed plant factory sort of a thing, like animal feed, I guess, or a chemical factory. Actually, originally I was making a chemical plant, but just trying to figure out what's a name that could be for chemicals and not be like King of the Hill Chem Plant, or King of the Hill Chemtrails, or something like that. So I went with synthetic. That was what I came across with. This map is inspired by two maps that already exist. The official map, Viaduct, where a lot of King of the Hill maps are inspired by, and an unofficial map called King of the Hill Arctic, which I believe won a King of the Hill contest years ago. And I'm going to tell you what parts of the map are inspired by those two maps and other lovely things. So here we have the spawn point, which is a very basic spawn. I have had the opportunity to get this map tested over on TF2Maps.net's servers, so I will release a video of an updated version of this map, but for right now, this is version King of the Hill Synthetic A1A, and it's A1A instead of A1 because I didn't compile this map with CubeMaps correctly the first time when I uploaded it to TF2Maps, so I had to redo it, and you always have to change the version string. So, it's a basic idea. You've got the spawn, and then you have two options. You either go to the left, which will put you out here, where this silo is, or you can go to the right, which will put you out over this way, where you can make the decision of going this way, or going to the middle building, or you can take these stairs and go up here to get some height advantage in this area. The main things that for this particular area that I'm taking inspiration from is the middle building of Viaduct. I really like that building because it allows for a lot of height variety, and the fact that it sort of splits the map into two main lanes. You have the main lane on the right, and the main lane on the left, and then there's the opening that goes right to the building that people just kind of go around the building. I kind of changed that up by having the middle exit actually go to the building and have this height advantage right here for defenders. Hopefully attackers won't be able to push too far in here, but, you know, we'll have to see how that plays before we figure any of that out. But defenders can use this height advantage to, like, an engineer could put a sentry up here and cover this area to stop attackers from pushing in too far and all of that lovely nonsense, as well as get some height advantage as they work their way over to the point from over here. Now, they can't see the point at this particular time from up on this area. I kind of did this because I wanted to stop a lot of sniper spam. Controlling sightlines and snipers is something I'm still not great with, so I'll probably have to edit this map quite a bit to make snipers a little bit more viable, or if they're overly viable, change them up a little bit. Mostly for so far, snipers really only have this pathway from here all the way across, and right now I'm blocking that off using these doors. This mid is inspired by King of the Hill Arctic. Now what Arctic does is it has two big containers It has one here, and it's got one there for shipping containers, and then it has this long line right down where the point is. I blocked this off with these doors, so hopefully this won't be too much of a sniper sight line. They do open when players walk into them, but it won't happen now because I'm in spectator mode. And they are easy to get to, so if you decide to go this way, just go over here, go through this door, and then you can take a left, and boom! There you are. Or, you can take a right and go through this tunnel to get all the way around back here, and come around this way. Now, what Arctic does is it has these openings in these areas, but it connects them this way, so when you go down, you go across and over to here. I kind of liked that, but I didn't want it to seem like, number one, I was copying, and number two, I also had an idea of making this a specific flank route for getting behind anyone who sets up shop in this area. So if you have a scout or a spy, they can very easily just go from here, go down here, go all the way around safely to get around the point and move on from that particular direction. And you've got this little nook here that engineers can build up. And up here, I put these ventilation things. I think they're vents. I don't know what they are. They're on Badwater. I put them here, and you have this spot back here where you can build up like teleporters and dispensers and even possibly a sentry in order to defend this area. And it's going to be a little bit difficult for it to be destroyed from over here. If it's defensive purposes, and if it's built up for attack purposes, you have a lot of distance that you can use, as well as a lot of cover to deal with the sentry for soldiers, and soldiers can also rocket jump up on top of this roof and fire from that way. That's not a great way to deal with sentries up there. I might actually have to change that up a little bit. But of course, you can also use this nook and cranny to put some teleporters and put some dispensers. You put teleporters and dispensers over here as well. And on top of this little thing, I like this. I like the way this looks. I don't know if it'll stay this way, but I would like to try to keep it this way. One thing I've learned from mapping so far is that nothing is permanent, and everything is subject to change, regardless of how much work you put into it or how cool you think it looks. If it's not playing well, then you need to change it. So don't get attached to things, even though I really like how this looks. I really do. I think it's a neat bit of brushwork. I'm trying not to get attached to it. One thing that I do want to do is I do want to add more ways to get up to this spot, because right now the only way to get up here, if you fall off, is to go over this ramp, go over here, go up these stairs, go over this way, and move on that way. So I would like to find somewhere that I could put a better way to get up there. There's not a lot of room in this middle building, so I don't exactly know what I'm going to do without making this middle building a complete cacophony of chaos, but we will see. As the future goes, we will see what happens with that. I'm sure I'll do something to change it up. I don't know at this point what it's going to be, so we'll figure that out. But something that I specifically wanted to do was I wanted to make engineers useful on King of the Hill, because generally they are not. Unfortunately, engineers, when it comes to the King of the Hill game mode, because points are generally so open, building a sentry around a point is probably going to get it exploded, for the most part. So a lot of people don't play engineers with King of the Hill unless, you know, it's Viaduct and you have that specific little space, that safe cubby. I'm thinking of like High Pass. If they play engineer, they're going to play engineer with a gunslinger, and the gunslinger is not fun. People hate the gunslinger. I like to use it. I don't like to fight against it. I'm a hypocrite that way. But by giving engineers places that they can build for teleporters and dispensers, which are very important in like every game mode, including King of the Hill, hopefully I'll be able to give engineers something that they can do. And of course, if you have a demo man, they can pop pills over top of this thing here to blow up. Like if they're back here, they can fire their grenades, bounce it off this wall, and blow up any buildings that are back there. Or do so from down here as well. And soldiers can, of course, up here, they can rocket jump on top of this thing, and then rockets and rocket jump, rockets and airstrikes and whatnot. All that lovely nonsense to deal with any kind of buildings that are back in this area. So the closest that an engineer can build to the point and be safe is here. And this still works well for defending this courtyard area between that building and the point. Because if anybody comes over this way, they're like, they get guns. If anybody comes down this way, they get guns in the face. So it hopefully works out the way that I think it will, but I don't know. I think this up here is also clipped, so but I did put a no build up here, so rocket jumpers and sticky bomb jumpers can get up here and do stuff. But I don't think engineers that can get up here from sentry jumping can do much of anything. So that's the idea. Whether or not that plays out the way that I think it will is another question. One thing that I am very much worried about is I'm worried about if the hill is at too much of a disadvantage being right in the middle of these two high ground areas. It has the high ground advantage here for anybody who's standing here or standing here. So it's got high ground there. It's got same ground here and high ground here for that ramp. But it has the low ground when it comes to this. Now, this is the smallest path to the point. It's not very large, and it's large enough for any of the classes to go through, but it is the smallest, most condensed path to the point, unless you can rocket jump and get on top of this. So we'll see how this plays. I am not entirely sure. Of course, if you're a demo man, you can like stand back here and chuck all kinds of grenades at the point. But the point is rather large, too. So you can stand over here and be pretty safe and still defend the point that way. But that is King of the Hill Synthetic A1A. That is the thought process that I have behind this map, working with verticality, flank routes, trying to take aspects that I like of Viaduct, of the two main routes through around the building before the courtyard, around like this building I'm looking at. This is the building. You have a building, you have spawn, courtyard, building, courtyard, building, courtyard, point. That is the Viaduct formula when it comes to building King of the Hill maps. But you have the two main paths that go around the building right here before the point courtyard. You can go through that building, but you don't absolutely have to. It is like a spy hangout place is what it is mostly used for in Viaduct. I don't know if that's how it's going to turn out to be for Synthetic, but we will see how that goes. There are ways to get up to the higher areas, but a lot of them are back farther. I kind of did that under the thought process that if somebody has a point, like a blue team has the point, then it's going to be difficult for them to get back up to the high ground if they fall off. But it will also, now that I'm looking at it, it's going to make it difficult for red team to get back up to the high ground if they fall off, because all the ways up to the high ground are far back away from the point. So I may have to figure something out with that. But you can check out the map over on tf2maps.net. You can look it over, play it if you want to, put it on a server if you have a server, or just run around the map, give me feedback over there. Well, I'd love it. I always am helpful. The feedback is always helpful. I'm doing these off the cuff, so I'm messing up my words all over the place, and hopefully this video won't run too long, and hopefully this video is somewhat interesting. But the link to King of the Hill Synthetic will be in the description of this video. Thank you very, very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoy these look at my map kind of things, and one of the main reasons why I'm doing this is just to keep a catalog of the changes I make to maps, so I can remember what they started as, because it's kind of cool to see how a map develops over time. And whether or not I finish this, regardless, it's still interesting to see how map develops over time. So thank you very much for watching. I've Megapyman PhD, and I will talk to you guys later.